Back tonight here on In Focus. Let's look at this latest update that 2 trucks have been torched on the R617 near Mpophomeni in Pietermaritzburg, KwaZulu-Natal. Earlier today, the DA-led uMngeni Local Municipality accused the ANC of fueling protests there in the Mpophomeni area. Joining us now to give us a little bit of an update of what's happening as far as this story is concerned is the uMngeni Municipal Mayor, Pappas. Mayor, good evening and thank you very much for your time and for joining us. Talk to us about these pictures that we are seeing of trucks burning on the R617. What is the story and how did this happen?
Good evening and thank you for having me. Yes, so as you've mentioned or alluded to, there's been protests for about a day and a half and relates to our electricity audits that we are trying to do in a particular area. As you've also mentioned that this is no longer about the electricity issue, but it has widely been politicized and we've got numerous bits of evidence of that. But the point that or the question that you are asking is with regards to the trucks. So the protest ended sort of early evening, late afternoon, and people dispersed. And then we got reports from local community members that a truck had been set on fire. So the police then proceeded to there, and I asked my own people working on the ground to please go and have a look for me. And indeed, there was a truck on fire. Now, there are two conflicting stories. The one is to say that the brakes failed and the truck caught on fire. And the other is that people set the truck on fire and then ran off into the bush, and shots were fired at them as they ran off. So there's two conflicting stories. We'll be able to confirm in daylight. But what we were able to do is that the truck, the actual tractor of the truck, we managed to remove that so that was saved, and it was only the cargo that was on fire. Yep. The second reports are unconfirmed at the moment, whether or not it's related to the strike, but it is within the same area. And whether or not it's a coincidence or not, we'll be able to investigate at daylight.
So we are not clear at this particular point whether this particular fire is related to the strike or any other truck driver issues that we have been seeing, at least in the last while, in KwaZulu-Natal.
I can say I'm pretty certain that even without an investigation, it's not related to any sort of truck driver strikes that have been taking place. It's too isolated and too removed from any of the routes where this has taken place for something like that to have occurred. But in terms of the strike, as I said, there's two issues that we have to investigate. But the preliminary reports that we got from the police who arrived on scene was that people ran into the bushes. Tomorrow we will confirm that. But however, I mean, there have been stonings of vehicles and burning of threatening of taxis and things on that particular route during this last day and a half. So it is not unlikely that is what has taken place. But as I said, daylight will confirm that, and the police will be able to do the investigation.
Any information as to what cargo was here? These where that cargo was herding? Is this things that could possibly be affecting the flow of goods to particular areas and could certainly have an impact, for example, on shortages and so on and so forth?
So the one truck that I am certain it had timber on it, but it was not a timber truck per se with logs on it. It looked like pallets. The pictures are unclear. I will go there myself and have a look tomorrow. But it looked like pallets that caught on fire, so it looked a lot bigger than sort of what it was on that truck. But we'll be able to confirm at daylight as well. The police are spread thin in that area at night. The Mpophomeni police station, so they themselves were nervous to hang around there for extended periods of time, knowing that there were other threats to infrastructure or electrical infrastructure that they needed to be aware of, and they didn't want this to be a distraction or a potential distraction from that.
Now, of course, we are having you back here because we want you to engage with the African National Congress on these issues that you're raising. You're saying this, otherwise, implementation of your electricity policy there and covering debt that is owed to the municipality has now turned into a political situation. But if you were to highlight for me, what are some of the things that you are picking up that are leading to the kind of strikes that we have been seeing?
So first of all, perhaps it's important for me to mention that the particular policy that I'm implementing was actually tabled and approved by the previous administration, but never implemented. So it's called the Electricity Loss Reduction Strategy, and it was tabled by ANC councillors and approved by a full council with no objection. So I'm actually implementing an ANC policy here. That's the first thing. But what makes me believe and what I know is true is, firstly, I mean, you receive information from on the ground. The ANC leaks like a sieve. The information makes it back to us very quickly, whether it's them loud hailing at night, whether it's the meetings that their branch meetings that they have. So that information makes it to us. But on top of that, we have video evidence of ANC councillors. We've searched their registrations, distributing food where there are protests, particularly bread and what looks like some sort of ghost pops or some sort of snacks like that to protesters in where they disrupted the Maryvale area. But that also that one of the ANC councillors removed his number plates from his vehicles, drove protesters into town who got out with ANC T-shirts, and then we managed to get a picture of his license disc and then search that, and that belonged to one of the ANC councillors. So all this evidence we are collating and will put into a disciplinary procedure, and then council must decide whether or not this is actually a punishable offence in terms of our code of conduct. What I can say is that I believe, and obviously the processes must continue, that there is enough evidence to support our claims that this is ANC-led.
Right.
Besides that fact is that we held a meeting. Protesters came to the municipality, bussed in by taxis paid for by ANC councillors, where they were wearing ANC T-shirts and tried to break down the gates of the municipality. I met with these protesters. 8 out of 12 of them were wearing ANC T-shirts and were there as the ANC. Today, surprisingly, suddenly they lost their ANC T-shirts and no one had ANC T-shirts because of the information that we had put out that no, this was politically motivated. So you can see there's an evolution in the way that they're trying to do things. And as we dispel rumors and as we cut down their options for further engagement politically and rather deal with this as a governance issue, they're becoming more desperate.
Mayor Chris Pappas, we'll have you back tomorrow, and hopefully the ANC will have responded to our message so that we can have this conversation a little bit further. That is Chris Pappas, the Mayor of the uMngeni Local Municipality, giving us an update then on those fires. It looks like it could have been a brake failure, but they will investigate further tomorrow morning. But there is a sense that there are 2 reports, others indicating that there could have been people who ran into the veld there who had set those trucks alight.